There is one cut you can make to your roses right now in late summer that won't just cost you blooms, it can kill the entire plant over the winter. Not damage it, not set it back, kill it, roots and all. And here's the part that makes me crazy. The standard pruning advice, the guidance in most rose books, and the big grower catalogs tells you to go ahead and do it anyway. Not because they're wrong about roses, but because that advice was written for a climate that isn't yours. If you're in zone 5 to 6, there is a date in the next few weeks, after which you should not put shears to your roses at all. I'm going to give you the exact date. And, more importantly, the simple rule that finds that date for any zone you garden in anywhere in the world. And I'm going to show you the one variety that punishes a late cut harder than any other. The one I've personally watched die from a single, well-meaning trim in September. If you grow it, you especially need to hear this. Let's make sure you never make it at all. The biology. What a cane is doing right now. To understand the date, you have to understand what your rose is doing inside its canes right now, because it's the exact opposite of what it looks like from the outside. From the outside, a rose in late summer looks like it's still going strong. Still pushing growth, maybe still throwing a few blooms, but on the inside, it has already started preparing to shut down for winter. This process has a name. It's called hardening off, or lignification, and it is the single most important thing happening in your entire garden this month. Most gardeners have never heard of it. It decides whether your rose lives or dies. Here's the mechanism, step by step. All through spring and early summer, your rose pushed soft, green, water-filled growth, fast tissue, built for one job, grabbing sunlight and growing quickly. That soft green growth is perfect for summer, but it cannot survive a hard freeze. Why not? Because soft tissue is mostly water, held inside living cells, and when water freezes, it expands. So when a hard freeze hits a soft green cane, the water inside those cells turns to ice, expands, and ruptures the cell walls from the inside. Like a pipe bursting in winter. The cell dies, the tissue dies, the cane dies. So as the days shorten and the nights cool, a healthy rose does something genuinely remarkable to protect itself. It converts that soft green growth into hard, woody, lignified tissue, laying down fiber, thickening cell walls, pulling water out of the canes, and moving sugars down into the roots. A properly hardened, lignified cane can survive temperatures that would turn a soft green shoot to black mush overnight. This whole process runs on a clock, set by shortening daylight and dropping temperatures, not by the calendar on your wall. In zone 5 to 6, that clock is already ticking right now in late summer. The rose knows winter is coming long before you feel it in the air. Hold on to that one word, hardening, because every single mistake we're about to talk about is, at its core, a mistake that interrupts hardening. Once you see it that way, the date stops being a rule you memorize and starts being something you understand. Why the standard advice is wrong for you. So if hardening off is this important, why does so much of the pruning advice out there get the timing completely wrong? Why are there books on your shelf right now that will tell you to prune at exactly the wrong moment? Here's the answer. A huge share of the rose-growing wisdom that we all inherited comes from the United Kingdom. The famous breeders, the classic manuals, the beautiful catalogs, mostly written by growers in a mild maritime British climate. And in that climate, a light late summer tidy-up is genuinely completely fine. But it is rarely brutal. Their first frost comes late and lands soft. Hard, killing freezes are the exception, not the rule. So a rose there that gets a September trim has weeks of gentle, frost-free weather to recover and harden the new growth. The advice fits the sky it was written under. Now look at zone 5 to 6. It is a completely different world. Our winters do not negotiate. We get hard, sudden freezes, a 70-degree week that collapses into the low 20s within days. There is no soft landing here. There is no long, gentle, frost-free grace period after a September cut. The cold arrives, and it arrives with force. And that single difference, the character of the winter, changes the entire pruning calendar. So when a British calibrated guide tells you to shape your roses in late summer, understand what's happening. It isn't lying to you, and the people who wrote it aren't fools. They are simply answering a different question for a different climate, under a different sky. Follow their timing here in a cold continental zone, and you are asking your rose to do something the season will not give it enough time to finish. The exact date and the rule for any zone. So let's get to the date you came here for. In zone 5 to 6, you stop pruning your roses by the first week of August. That is your line in the sand. After the first week of August, no shaping cuts, no cutting back, no, I'll just take off this one long cane that's bugging me. Nothing that tells the plant to grow. But I promised you something more useful than a single date on a calendar. And here it is. Because the truth is, most of you watching this are not in zone 5 to 6. You're warmer, you're colder, you're in an entirely different hemisphere. And a date means nothing to you without the reason underneath it. So here's the rule. And this is the one sentence in this entire video you actually need to memorize. Stop pruning about 6 weeks before your average first frost. That's it. And here's why it's 6 weeks. A pruning cut wakes the plant up. It sends a signal that says grow, and the plant answers by pushing out soft, new growth below the cut. That new growth then needs roughly 6 weeks of decent weather to harden off before it can survive a hard freeze. So if you make a cut inside that final 6-week window before your frost, you are forcing the plant to push tender new growth that has no time to harden, sending it straight, defenseless, into the killing cold. So now let's translate that rule across the zones. So no matter where you're standing, you know your date. In zone 5 to 6, your average first frost lands late September into October. Count back 6 weeks, and you land at the first week of August. That's the date. In warmer zones 7 to 8, your first frost comes later, often late October into November. So your cutoff slides later too, into late August, even early September. You get more runway than we do. In colder zone 3 to 4, frost comes early and hard, sometimes by the middle of September. Count back 6 weeks from that, and your cutoff pulls all the way back to mid to late July, which means if you're in a cold zone, you may already be at your line right now as you watch this. And if you gardening in the southern hemisphere, simply flip the whole calendar. Your equivalent late summer window falls around February, 6 weeks before your autumn frost. Same rule, opposite season. So here's your homework, and it takes 2 minutes. Look up your area's average first frost date. Count back 6 weeks. Not mine, not a catalog's, yours, calculated for your exact sky. What late pruning actually does. Now let me walk you through exactly what goes wrong when you break the rule. Step by step. Because it's almost cruel in how neatly it unfolds. Once you see the full sequence, you'll never be tempted again. Step 1. You make a cut in late August. Maybe the plant looks a little untidy. Maybe you've got a cane flopping over a path. So you trim it with the best intentions in the world. Step 2. The plant reads that cut as a command. Remember, a cut says grow. And the plant, seeing that the light is still reasonably good and its resources aren't gone yet, obeys. It breaks dormancy at the buds just below your cut, and it pushes out soft, red, tender, new shoots. And now the plant has a serious problem. It's spending its precious, limited autumn energy building brand new growth it cannot possibly protect, pulling its sugars down into the roots and hardening the canes it already has. You've hijacked its survival plan. Step 3. The first hard freeze arrives. So a cut you made to improve the plant has become an open wound and a highway for dieback, heading down toward the crown, the heart of the plant at the base where its life is concentrated. And here's how it ends. In a mild year, you get away with it. You lose some canes, you're annoyed in spring, but the plant lives. In a bad year, an early savage freeze landing on a plant that's full of soft, defenseless new growth, the dieback reaches the crown and you lose the entire rose. That is the exact line between cost you some blooms and killed your plant. One cut, 1 month too late. That's all it takes. Quick one. If organic rose care built for cold climate reality instead of borrowed from a milder one is what you're here for, go ahead and subscribe. This channel is a system. Every video builds on the last, the variety that punishes you most. Now, the variety I warned you about at the very beginning. If you grow Munstead wood, I need you to lean in for this one. Because in my garden, and in plenty of others I've compared notes with, it is the rose most likely to die from a late cut. and it comes straight out of the biology we've been talking about. Munstead wood is a shorter, bushier rose with a real appetite for growth. It likes to keep pushing soft, new growth late into the season, well after more restrained varieties have started to settle down for winter. It is vigorous, it is generous, and that generosity is exactly what makes it dangerous to prune late. Think about what that means. Where a stiffer, more upright, more disciplined rose might respond to a late cut with a shrug and only a little soft growth, Munstead wood answers a September cut enthusiastically. It eagerly pushes out a whole flush of tender new shoots. And that flush is precisely what the winter kills. Its greatest strength in summer becomes its fatal flaw in fall. I've watched it happen with my own eyes. A healthy, established 3-year-old Munstead wood, a beautiful plant, went into winter after just one well-meaning cleanup cut in early September. By spring, the dieback had run all the way down to the crown. The plant did not recover, it was gone. From one cut, the more freely and vigorously a rose grows, the more strictly you have to honor the date. Munstead wood, and any eager, late-pushing variety like it, gets 0 late cuts. Not one. The plant's own enthusiasm is what will kill it if you let it. And what you can do, deadhead only. Okay, so you're standing in front of a rose in August. It's got some spent, browning blooms on it, and maybe a couple of messy canes, and every instinct in your body is screaming, fix it, clean it up, make it tidy. So let me tell you exactly what you are allowed to do. Because there is something, and the line between allowed and forbidden really matters. You can deadhead, you cannot prune. And the entire difference between those two things comes down to one word, depth. Let me define both precisely. Pruning means cutting down into the woody, structural part of the plant, into real cane. That kind of deep cut is what sends the strong, grow a whole new cane signal that wakes the plant up. Deadheading means removing only the spent flower itself, and doing it shallow, barely into the stem. Same tool, completely different message to the plant. So here's the precise method for a safe late-season deadhead. Follow the stem down from the finished, spent bloom until you reach the first healthy set of leaves. Snip just above that leaf set. That's it. Shallow. A finger or two of stem, no more. You are taking off the dead flower and nothing structural. It tidies the plant so it doesn't look like a mess of brown, and it can even coax out one last bloom before the season ends, all without sending the deep, build me a whole new cane signal that a real pruning cut sends. You're grooming the plant. You are not restructuring it. Grooming is safe. Restructuring this late is not. And one more piece, because timing matters even here. Even deadheading has an end date. As you get within a few weeks of your first frost, stop deadheading too, and start deliberately leaving the spent blooms on the plant. Here's why. When you let those spent flowers stay, they begin forming rose hips, and hip formation actually helps signal the plant that the season is ending. It's a natural cue toward dormancy. So the full late season rhythm is deadhead shallow through late summer. Then, as frost approaches, put the pruners down entirely and let the plant read its own signals. The diagnostic, the cane tip pinch test. Let me give you a hands-on test so you're never guessing about whether your plant has actually hardened off. I call it the cane tip pinch test, and it takes about 5 seconds per plant. Take the very tip of a cane between your thumb and your finger and gently squeeze it. Not hard, you're not trying to break it. Just enough to feel how it responds. If it's soft, bendy, gives easily, maybe even feels a little squishy or watery, that's unhardened growth. Still full of water, still soft-celled, still completely vulnerable to a freeze. That cane is not ready for winter. If instead it's firm, stiff, woody, resists your pressure and feels like it would snap before it bends, that cane has lignified. It's hardened off, it's ready. So walk your roses and pinch a few tips across each plant. If most of your tips are still soft this late in the season, and your signal to stop absolutely everything that encourages growth. No cuts, no feeding, nothing but patience. Let the plant do its work. The pinch test tells you where your plant actually is in real time. And that is worth more than any date on any calendar, because your plant in your yard, in this particular year's weather, is the only calendar that's never wrong. The one exception. There's exactly one exception to everything I've told you today, because rules without exceptions get people into trouble, and I'd rather you understand the logic than follow me blindly. The exception is storm damage. If a cane is broken, cracked, split, or hanging after a summer storm, cut it. Do not leave it. A damaged cane is an open wound and a wide open door for disease no matter what month it is. And leaving it to rot on the plant does far more harm than a clean corrective cut. But, and this matters, keep it surgical. Remove only the damaged wood. Cut back to just below the break, into sound, healthy tissue, and then stop. You are performing first aid, not shaping the plant. That's the whole distinction. You're removing a liability, not asking the rose to grow. Everything else, the shaping, the tidying, the while I'm out here, all of that still waits for spring. So let's bring it home. Never prune after your date, and your date is 6 weeks before your average first frost. First week of August in zone 5 to 6, earlier if you're colder, later if you're warmer. Between now and then, deadhead shallow only. Pinch test your canes to see where they really are, and cut only what a storm actually breaks. Do that, and you've protected not just next year's blooms, but the life of the plant itself. If this changed how you're going to treat your roses this month, and I hope it did, there's a hype button right under this video. It's the little shooting star, it's on mobile, and it's only live for the first week after a video posts. It is genuinely one of the most powerful ways you can help a small channel like this one about to make this exact mistake. And here's your next one, because pruning is not the only thing that has to stop right now. There's a second late summer habit, one that almost everybody keeps doing, straight through August without a second thought, that quietly wrecks a rose's winter hardiness just as badly as a late cut does. Same kind of mistake, different tool. I'll show you the exact date to stop that one too, and the biology behind why it matters. Until next time, happy gardening.